Watch who?
Hello,
and welcome to Two Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark,
I'm Sarah,
and I'm a Doctor Who fan.
and I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
And here we are, we're on Lakersha today, new series.
Yeah.
Walking around this lovely quarry. Sarah, be careful of any bubble traps, okay? Watch out, they are
It's
everywhere. Ah! Sarah! No!
Why me? Why me?
Oh no, you're in a bubble trap.
No.
What are you going to do? Let's see if our guest today can help us. Lucas, are you there?
I'm trapped in the bubble myself. I can't breathe.
We need help.
Oh no, I'm okay. Yes, all right. No, I can help.
No.
Yes, no. Can I? I don't know. How do?
Can I live in the bubble for a bit, Mark?
Just bubble girl. Yeah.
Until you finish this intro, I'll stay in the bubble. It's fine.
Okay. Well, fine. We'll just stay here. Well, welcome, Lucas, to Two Watch Who.
Thank you
Hey!
very much. Thank you very much to this dark and dismal quarry. What a lovely start.
Well, yeah.
We could have been in a triangle, Mark. Was it a triangle?
That was the Rani's.
Her TARDIS.
Yeah, that was the Rani's TARDIS.
Yeah, we could have been in that.
Well, that's not as exciting as a
It's a
bubble trap.
quarry.
We could have been in the brain
Yeah,
room.
we could have been by that weird paper mache brain thing.
Okay, well, we'll head to the brain room. But as we head there, let's chat.
Watch out for the skeletons.
So, Lucas, people might recognise your name because you have put together our Doscars listings for a little while now, which we've mentioned quite a lot.
Yes, indeed.
And also, I was just thinking, you won our very first competition.
I did.
On-
Oh yeah, because
And
I
Two
remember
Watch Who.
Percentage Australia.
I think you announced that back in, I think it was the Highlanders you did that. That was like second Doctor all the way back then.
That was a long time ago, yeah.
I'll have to bring that back, Mark.
And I love the fact that, you know, I mean, I appreciate the prize. It's sitting there up on the shelf up there. But probably the next time you try and send something internationally, try not to make it a solid metal box that is going to get X-rayed and not go through customs very well.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Because you sent it and it disappeared for about 6 months, I think it was.
It was a long time, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, it went missing.
Yeah, it was like, has it arrived yet? Has it arrived yet? No. But it finally arrived and the box was very worse for wear.
Oh, no.
But no, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That's us to a T, like, or Mark to a T. Mark, like, oh, I got this thing, I'm going to send it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you do it, love. And then, of course, that happened. You crack on, love, it's fine.
The box looked like it went via like Beirut and then through the Gaza Strip and then finally to me, where it's just like, I think the box had PTSD.
That was the first thing I'd ever sent to Australia. The second thing was all those Neighbours DVDs to Neighbours Guy. They got there pretty quick. He'd watched them within like a day of getting them all and wanted more.
But you've been sent it. That's the other. As a Melburnian, I have to apologise for Neighbours Guy. Wherever he is, if he's listening now, I'm coming for you, mate. I'm tracking you down.
He's disappeared.
Gonna back off.
He's disappeared now, Neighbours Guy. He
Back into the ether.
Yeah, he's.
He doesn't need you anymore, Mark.
Yeah, I don't think he ever listened. Although he did message to Watch Who, being like, "Where's your neighbour's tape?
Where's my stuff, mate? Where's my stuff?"
Yeah. So I hope he's happy and delirious wherever he is, surrounded by all of his neighbours' tapes. But anyway, thank you so much for putting our Doscars listings together. I don't know why we cannot remember a lot of what we have done in the past, and there's quite a lot now, isn't there?
There is quite a lot. The spreadsheets. It's split into 3 different things now because I've got formulas to sort it all out and pick it out and sort out what it's doing. It started as a joke. I sent it and I made it and go, here you go, and suddenly I ended up being your admin guy. So, and I'm still listening to some Doscars episodes going, okay, yeah. Oh, he's forgotten that. Lord, hasn't he?
I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens. I have it written in front of me as well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's Put it in a spreadsheet. Why are you handing bits of paper? Or is it written down on bits of paper?
Honestly,
Put
I
it
think
in a
there's still
spreadsheet. It's right there.
I put them on sticky notes. Like when we're doing it, I'm writing it on a sticky note, and there's just sticky notes everywhere. And then a week later, when we record it, Mark's like, "I've lost my pad and I'll find my sticky notes." Like it's such a. We'd think by now we'd have a system.
It makes it fun that you don't. You know what?
But for me, because I mean, I'm the worst for it. I don't make notes while I'm watching it. Mark does. I'm just like, well, if I remember it, that's a good thing. I record and I rock up. I leave Mark to do all of the like admin side of things and sorting things out. That's more. I have offered, but Mark won't let me, so I'm like, fine.
That's fair enough. I mean, you would run the risk of spoilers and all that sort of stuff, I suppose. But
True, but it does mean that like I'll just write things down on sticky notes, and there'll be sticky notes, or they'll make if anyone comes in, they're like, "What is this?" And it's just some random character names with a circle around whoever is a winner or whatever. It's just
Brian Blessed. Why?
Yeah,
Why about Brian Blessed?
Is there anything in our Doscars listing? Is there things that stand out? You're like, why did they choose that? Do you generally agree with the winners?
I usually do. Sometimes I'm kind of okay. I think there are ones where it's obvious. It's got to be. It has to be. I mean, everyone else, and you're probably going to get the fandom at your door, knocking down your door, saying, "Why did you pick that one when that one was the obvious choice?" I haven't had one recently. I'm trying to think now. I've got to go back through the wiki and
like Charlie the Barman, for example.
Actually, no, I was about to say, do you agree with Charlie the Barman?
I think your options there were very limited to begin with in that season. Oh, I do have to point out though, you did make a mistake in the last Oscars. You did say that the regulars, we had 5 regulars, for 5 nominees for best regular.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh, that's the most we've ever had." I have to disagree. Season 21, we had 6 nominations for best regular.
Hang on, 6? What? Dr. Tegan, Nissa, Adjua.
The Doctor, Turlo, Tegan, Chameleon, Perry, and the Doctor 6.
Oh, I forgot about Chameleon.
We all forget about Chameleon.
One day, people will recognise Chameleon for the amazing person he is.
There we go.
So what's your era of Doctor Who? Is it season 24?
There is a reason that I am here for this episode. Not to draw too long a bow, but I think my Doctor Who story started on my 9th birthday, I think it was. My aunt, Dad's sister, got me 3 of the Target novels for my birthday, and I got them, and I'm looking at them going, "What's this? I don't know what this is." And she's like, "Oh yeah, Ellen told me that you really like that, so I got you." And there's my cousin going, "Yeah, you like it, don't you?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Yeah, great, thanks." Yeah. So they went on just in the corner of my room that I never looked at again. After then, I think it was about half a year, 6-7 months later, channel surfing after school, like 5:30 after school, and here we are on the ABC here in Australia, and there's this guy running around fighting this giant robot, and he's got curly hair and a long scarf. I'm like, that looks like the guy on the cover of those books that I got. So I was like, "Oh, this is actually not a bad show." So there was this introduction to, like, these were reruns obviously at the time of Tom Baker, and so I met Sarah Jane at that stage and went through with Leela and all that. So this is a great show. And then it was a good year after that we're not running reruns anymore. This is the new stuff starting. This is the new Doctor Who coming from the BBC, which brings us to today's story. So this story was my first introduction to Doctor Who as it was being released.
Right.
The live stuff. This is the new stuff. Sylvester is my Doctor. The 7th is my Doctor. I don't know if you know this, Sarah. You probably wouldn't know this at all, Sarah. This story isn't held in high regard by the fandom.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I think I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses, because when it came on, of course, I had the VCR ready to tape all the episodes when they
Yeah.
aired, and they were playing.
You were your own VHS guy.
Yeah, I was Neighbours guy, but for Doctor Who. And that's the thing. They aired like every night. I think the UK it was like every Saturday night or whatever Monday night it was back then. We got them every night, every like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every night at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I think it was whatever time it was. But we got the whole season over like a few weeks because they played an episode every night. So here we are taping all this stuff, and I watched it again and again. This is great. I love this story.
So I was going to say, it comes down to, like, there's the Sixth Doctor's first story, which is always like bottom of the polls, and then it's this one. This always comes out in those fan polls. It might be slightly changing now. I think people are appreciating now, but like for a very, very long time, this was like the worst.
Well, one, I mean, I'm a sucker for like, if Mark's got some stories and he's been like, this is why it's my favorite. And if you've got a personal attachment to something, I'm like, oh, that's the best thing ever. Like that's like my kryptonite, right? So, but I can understand why, because when it started, I thought I'd missed something. I had to like, what was it? Because it's so like, I was like, did I miss a regeneration? Did I like skip something? Should I be starting here? It feels so different. But I can imagine when you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to start the series. And then you get that opening and all that start. It must be the most exciting thing because you have the new opening credits. The starts, it's quite a cold open, you know? It's quite like we see him on the floor, all that sort of stuff. But I can imagine for the first time, that was like, whoa, that, you know.
And that's for I think I would have been about, 10 or 11 at that stage. I'd been watching the reruns, like the old stuff. The last story I would have seen would have been like a Tom Baker and Leela story in the reruns kind of flash. Suddenly we've jumped forward, a good decade to this new computer-generated special effects with the lasers and boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is so different. This is great. I'm loving it.
Yeah. No, I can completely see that. Whereas me doing it in order like this, I was like, have I missed something?
But I was going to have to say, Sarah, were you expecting a new Doctor?
No, I wasn't. I was not expecting a new Doctor. See, that was a surprise.
Are you sad that we don't have any more Sixth Doctor? Because it was quite a short time.
I'm sad that we didn't get that ending. That actual, like, his moment and his regeneration.
I mean, this is all in Doctor Who history. It's still that terrible time of the BBC were like, yeah, we'll do a new series. We don't want Colin Baker back. I think Colin Baker didn't come and do that regeneration. That is Sylvester McCoy dressed up.
Yeah.
The whole time. He wouldn't come back and do the regeneration because he'd basically been sacked.
He'd been sacked.
He said he went to the head guy at the BBC and was like, I'll come back and do a whole series and regenerate at the end. And they were like, can you do the first story? And then it just didn't work out, and then so poor Colin Baker again. He's had such a rough time. He didn't even get to do like a regeneration, all the cancellation, all this stuff. He's just had the worst time of it. So it was still a really weird time.
But even like if you think about it, if they knew his contract was coming to an end and they weren't going to renew it, if they knew that, why didn't they tie it? Because that last story would have been a perfect way to have tied into a regeneration of some sort.
I think they were trying to get rid of him on technicality because he'd done 2 series, but because of that one they cancelled, they were like, oh, each Doctor only does 3 years. He's done his 3 years. That year they didn't make counts as a year of being the Doctor, so you can go now. And they just made it up to get rid of him. There's so much. It's all the politics at the time. Who knows what the actual? It was just lots of things going on. It was just terrible. And then you've got fandom. I don't think fandom will appreciate your time with the Rani coming along. It's the first story.
Yeah, and John Nathan Turner was the producer, and he wanted to go as well, and they wouldn't let him go. So he's like, I don't want to do Doctor Who anymore. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, we can let you go, and I'll put you up here. No, actually, we'll put you back on Doctor Who, and you can do another year. And he's like, oh, again, all right, okay. So his heart's kind of drifting away from the show as well at the same time.
No, I can see why some fans maybe don't like it. I think as well, I watched this all in one sitting pretty much because of internet issues and stuff, which I had a nightmare with that. That's by the by. But I did watch it all in one sitting, and I love seeing the Rani again.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
I loved that. I love the Rani. When the Rani was dressed as Mel,
Oh God, we'll get to that. Yeah.
Could not stop laughing at that. But like, so there was things like that I liked. I liked there was a bit of humour. It wasn't maybe the most settled one for the Doctor because of the nature of the story, as in like introduction of him. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Because I think the criticism is that Sylvester McCoy is really silly. It's not really played very seriously. It's all a bit too.
Yeah.
But
I quite like that.
watching this, maybe taking notes. That first scene when he wakes up and he recognises the Rani, he is straight in there, and it's a very dramatic scene. He's very serious. It's only when he gets hit by that glitter gun and he has all his amnesia, and they go through like we're used to all the Doctors having this. Who am I? What's going on? Changing your clothes. Like his first scene is actually very strong. And I've never noticed that before, because if you said to me Time of the Rani, I would have said, yeah, it's a bit of a weak opening story for a Doctor. Sylvester McCoy's just going around being stupid, rolling around on the floor and stuff. But actually it's not. Watching it this time round, there's a lot more to it.
I thought actually, I enjoyed the silliness, but I agree. I thought there was quite a lot of dramatic moments in it. I didn't think it was like, we've had sillier. We've had like, when I go back to Patrick Troughton's first, like really going back, it was so silly the whole time. It wasn't like that. There was real like the way his conversation with Mel and stuff like that. Like there was real like heart. That's what I'm looking for. There's real moments of like heart and to it. And then and we haven't had that for a while. Like we had it towards the end with the Last Doctor, but let's compare it to like the Last Doctor's first story where he's strangling his companion. I like there was sort of even a sort of hint of, oh, you'll get used to me, and that sort of stuff. Oh, you feel so different. I liked all that conversation. Like, but you seem so different. Yeah.
Well, should we just start with just the titles and the music? Even just to start off with, amazing title sequence. We are 80s CGI here. I love it.
It felt like a computer game.
It's that bit where you go underneath the purpley bit, that line, when the camera goes up. That was always the coolest bit for me. Just love that.
I thought so. It completely took me by surprise. Did that? I thought it was like the start of the story, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then you realise it's a title sequence. So 80s,
like late 80s though. It's not like the start of the 80s was still very neon, very disco, very that sort of thing. But towards the end of the 80s is when the shoulder pads really started to make their presence known, and we clean cut and still neon, still bright color, but a cleaner edge to it that rolls into the 90s, I reckon. So
it felt like it was for the video game generation. That intro feels so much like a video game. It's like cool and quirky, and like you said, Mark mentioned it goes under and stuff. Like it feels it's for that generation.
I think as a child watching this, that was the coolest thing. It was just to see some like CGI, like wow. I watched this around Tom's house in primary school, and I remember this because I stayed around. I was like a sleepover. I stayed around his house. I remember going round and he had this on video and we watched it, and I stayed, and I don't know, because I never used to like have sleepovers or stay around people's houses like in sort of school time. It was a weird thing. I don't know if my parents wanted me out of the way for the weekend or something, but I remember going around like on the Friday night watching this with him, and then we went to like the beach, or his parents drove us to the beach for like the whole day somewhere. It was really weird for me to stay around Tom's house. That just never happened.
Yeah, it sounds like your parents wanted you out of the house.
I don't know. It was weird. I can only think of like two.
Maybe they were working on a sibling or something.
I can only think of like two occasions where I stayed round people's houses. No one ever came round staying. It just wasn't something that we did.
That wasn't really something I did either.
No. Sarah, did you have like...
I stopped at a friend's house. So when I was my friend who lived in the same village as me, she lived with her grandma. And her room had 2 beds. So I used to stop. But not... Because I had epilepsy as a kid. My mum was really like... She didn't want me stopping over. So it took ages before I stopped over at hers. Stopped over at hers a bit. And then when her grandma died, she moved in with another relative. And I remember she stopped over at mine quite a bit. And I remember she was at mine Christmas Day. Like she stopped over Christmas Day into Boxing Day at mine. And then I spent Boxing Day at hers. So like I did later, like end of primary school. It was before high school, definitely like 10. I did more of that. But the younger years, definitely not.
Because like Ross and Luke and that were like, oh, I'll stay around. I'll be like, I live like 5 minutes around the corner. Like I don't know. It just wasn't a thing.
That's me now. That's me now. My mum was like, stay over, and I'm like,
I want to poop in my own toilet.
I was like, I want my pillow. I want my bed.
But I just remember being in Tom's room watching Time with the Rani, and he had a TV in his bedroom, and this was like 8 or something. He had the TV video thing.
I had, so we bought ours from the petrol station. Like that doesn't happen anymore. My dad bought it at the petrol station, this TV, really random, and it had a tape player in. And my mum was like,
was it off the back of a truck?
I don't know. I don't know why they were selling TVs, but this little TV with the tape player. And my mum was like, you can watch one tape and then you've got to go to sleep. So I go upstairs and I put my tape in, and she was like, you can watch it and then you've got to go to bed. And I put in, it was a double one of Sister Act and Sister Act 2. I watched.
Cheating.
So she came up, it must have been really late. And she was like, why are you still watching it? I was like, you said I could watch one tape. I'd found a loophole, obviously, with 2 films on. She was like, you should be asleep, you've got school in the morning. She like took it out. I was like, oh.
Because this reminds me of Stay Around Tom's, the only other story about the sleepover, which I might cut out because this is just in my memory and I can't get rid of it, but I might cut it out. This was a bit later on. It was still sort of end of primary school time, and it was my friend Rob, and he was the one that said he had Planet of the Spiders on video, and I went to it was like his birthday sleepover. Tom was there. I can't remember who else was there, but Rob didn't have any Doctor Who videos at his house, so he lied about having Planet of the Spiders. And I don't know what we watched that night, but I just remember Tom. Tom was like, I can make sperm.
I knew it was coming.
And proceeded to show us how we can make
wrong
sperm.
piece of the word coming.
We were like, okay.
I thought you were going to say something like he was angry about the Doctor Who not being.
No, I knew that was coming. And stop you saying coming.
But I can't remember what we watched, but that's all I remember about that. That was towards. I wasn't really friends with Tom much after that, actually. That's when we.
Not surprised.
But, I just remember that sort of conversation. And
When you said Rob as well,
happening.
I thought you were going to say Ross. We haven't heard about
no,
Ross.
Ross wasn't there. Ross definitely wasn't there. I can't remember who else. But anyway, so Time and Rani is sort of muddled up in my mind with all of those incidents. We should get back to the story.
Oh my gosh, Mark, that's going to be my favourite quote of all time of you. I can make sperm.
I saw that coming.
Anyway, so the Rani's got Einstein. And the Rani's capturing geniuses and stuff. So it's great to see the Rani. And she's very different to the Master in that she's got this. It's very similar to sort of what she was doing before with like brain stuff, and she's always got a mission, hasn't she? She's got that sort of same thing. I think it's great to bring back the Rani rather than the Master.
Yeah.
The thing about the Rani that I really loved is, the Master was always, I'm going to take over the universe, I'm going to rule, I'm going to be all powerful. She doesn't give a shit about that stuff. She is in it for the science. Yes. She's in it. I want to do the science stuff. I want to get this knowledge. I want to know how to do this, and I want to use this knowledge in its most primitive and powerful form. That's what she's doing, and that's like as a biochemist and whatever aptitude she has. It was about the science. It's always about the science. It's that old pastiche of the evil science genius, that it's not about the power. It's just purely about the science.
And she does it so well.
And she does it very glamorously as well.
Yes, very glam.
So actually, should we do Clothes Watch?
But yeah.
Let's do Clothes Watch, because I mean, out of all the outfits, it's Mel's, isn't it, that is quite iconic. That stands out. Wearing bright white trousers in a quarry.
It's a bold move.
That is a personal advert there. She should just be like Like, that is amazing.
But she had like pink leg warmers on as well. It's like with the huge overstuffed shoulder pads. Well, not even shoulder pads, they're just puffed up
Yeah,
shoulder
yeah.
pieces on the actual. Is it a shirt?
I
What
think
is it?
it's like
a blouse?
it's like a blossomy shirt, isn't it? With big shoulder enhancement.
But that's not like 80s at the time. That's like a costume. That would have been
No,
as out
that's
there as it
definitely
is.
the time.
That's not.
No, that was 80s.
That's
But people weren't wearing that.
That was 80s.
Would people see that and be like, wow, that is great? Or would they be like, what? Is
That
weird
whole
costume?
outfit is 80s
I can never
to
get
me.
I don't know if people would.
No, I would have seen someone wearing that down at the
Think of like
shopping centre.
Dynasty or something when they're like in their mansion and they're wearing their slim trousers with the big top over. Like, it's that sort of thing.
Funny you should mention that because that's exactly where Kate O'Mara came
Really?
from.
Genuinely, that was a complete.
So she's done that before this.
She went from Mark of the Rani when she was in Mark of the Rani. Like, she flew to LA and she was opposite Joan Collins in Dynasty, and she hated it. She hated being in LA. She hated, and I don't know. There's an apocryphal story of her speaking with John Nathan Turner, the producer of Doctor Who at the time, saying, "Please, it's hideous here. The sun's always out. It's always the same temperature. There are all these vapid people. I just want to be in a quarry. I want to be putting my costume on in the back of a trailer in a hideous condition because that's acting. That's what I really want to be doing." So we went, fine, we'll bring you back. We want the Rani back. So she came back, and that's exactly what she was doing. And she loved it. She and Sylvester got on really well, and she loved being the Rani and being this, for lack of a better term, absolute bitch.
And she does it so well. She's such a good actress. She's so good.
Yeah.
Because again, she could play it like an over-the-top caricature, and she doesn't. She plays it with genuine love, and you can see that she loves that character. She does it so well. That's why it's such a great character.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. She lose an earring in the quarry or something, and they had to like scrabble around and find it? I think they did, and they didn't have a spare one, so they're all going around trying to find her earring. That quarry is a great quarry. It looks brilliant. Well, as quarries go,
as quarries
go.
No, as the ones we've had, I don't know. I just really love the rocks.
There are lots of like good cave bits.
There's lots of things, and there's a concrete tube that Mel can sit in and stuff.
Random. That was one thing that would disturb me about the episode. It's like this, okay, random concrete tube that's just sitting there. It's like, obviously they found it. Oh, they can hide in that kind of thing. They wouldn't bring it in and place it there. That's been there from.
I think it's still there. No, I think it is.
What
on the
quarry is it,
locations.
Mark? You're really invested in this
I don't know.
quarry.
I need to look up where it is and if it can be visited, because it's just a great quarry. The only thing I don't like is those blue stones they put out on the entrance to the Rani's thing. That they just stand out a bit funny, I think.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't look good. But all of that stuff, I mean, it just helps. I mean, you don't really see much of Lancashire as in the world, apart from like a few studio sets. So they're just sort of walking up and down the quarry a lot. There is a lot of walking around, but it looks good, and they've done that pink sky thing again, like they did a few episodes ago. So they obviously love that effect. So they want to do that again.
Put a filter on it.
What do you think about the Lancashans, like their outfits?
Which one
and
was the
their look?
Lancashans? The scaly ones?
They're all the scaly people.
Yeah. So genuinely, so there's, when they go and tell that woman the bad news and she cries.
Yes.
Her makeup did not move, and I was like, is this like, what is this makeup that like she's crying? Because you can see her eyes are red. She is crying. It's not like they've just like put on some drops or something, and there is no movement of that makeup. And I was like, how have they got this off her face as well? I had a lot of questions after that.
Terps.
Like, yeah, I thought that whole look and effect was really good.
Like the effects and like the bubble traps, that is one of the best effects in like classic Who. I think it works so well, and it's so simple, but the way they've done the explosions, and again it's that sort of CGI bubble.
Well, the bubbles, I'm guessing, are the same as what they did for the Five Doctors.
Oh, no.
Because didn't they
You're thinking of
travel
the
like through the air in the Five Doctors? Like they'd take people in And off they go.
Well, you're thinking of the
Look at me
triangles, but
remembering things. Look at me
Yeah,
remembering
but
things from
triangles,
the
but then
past.
but the triangles were sort of flat in the original one.
Yeah, but
Like
it's the
these
same
are more like,
idea, isn't it?
I suppose so, but just the way that they sort of bounce across the screen and that you're obviously tracking the
Yeah, I
got
know
to
what
track
you
the
mean.
shot, get the explosions,
We've
put
got
the
to get the
CGI
explosions
on.
in the right spot.
Like
Yeah.
it's quite technically,
Savvy. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think for if you're tuning in for the first time on this show, I think that would be, or if you've watched even like last season, we had that model shot in Trial of a Time Lord, but there wasn't really anything amazing. It does feel like, I mean, it was only like the year before, but it does feel completely
it's
different.
stepped up.
Completely
It
different.
does. Actually, it just, as a show at this point, it does feel like it feels completely different, but it kind of feels like a return as well. Does that make sense? Because last season was so different. I don't know where it could have gone. This feels like sort of we're back in a quarry. Right? Doctor Who loves a quarry. Where like the Doctor himself feels like doctors we've had before. There's a lot that feels
Well,
familiar.
apparently they were going to shoot in a forest. Though it was supposed to be a foresty kind of
Oh, was
location.
it? That's interesting.
But they felt, and they wanted to shoot close to London so it wasn't too expensive. I read that it just didn't look alien enough. So it's like, okay, no, it's a forest. It could be any forest, like literally outside the city. So they went, no, we'll go back to the quarry.
Yeah.
So.
I like Doctor Who loves a quarry. They love a quarry as a wasteland.
And you couldn't really have the bubble trap sort of bouncing around in the forest, I suppose.
No.
It just
Well, it's
works.
supposed to catch in a tree and blow up in a tree, but it's just like, yeah, no, it's not going to work. And unfortunately, they used all of the budget on for the bubbles, and then had to, okay, what are the insects? Oh, they're just little pixels on the screen.
Well, we've had to.
Watch out, these things kill. Oh, wait, it's just a pixel on the screen.
Yeah. But you have what they call I call them the reptile ones. What they call
Lacurtions.
Lacurtions.
Lacurtions,
Okay,
yeah.
so you've got the Lacurtions. I think they look great. Again, that feels quite familiar in terms of like what we expect of what we've had in the past. I don't. There's a nice familiarity to it. And then the other one is the one that looks like the Gruffalo.
The Tetraps.
Yeah, they're like fluffy and they've got
bats.
hoofs and it's oh yes, they're bats, aren't they? Yes, because they hang upside down. Those things. Mark usually hates monsters like that, but they did move well when they're moving.
I think again this is a step up because they've got those eyes around the side.
360-degree vision, which was the other thing that used to piss me off as a kid, is that Icona would come, okay, no, we're going to run. I'm going to create a diversion and run across the front of the base. So the Tetrap goes, oh, there's someone running. I'm going to follow you so the person can sneak in behind. It's like, but it's got 360-degree vision. It's going to see in the back of its head that you're sneaking in. How?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, but the way the masks are done and the way that the sort of animatronics of the tongue and the mouth moves when he talks, and there's a lot of them as well. When they're all sort of walking down in the studio, there's quite a lot of them when they're coming out the cave thing. Yeah, I think they look brilliant.
I think they're really
I
good.
think they're really good. I thought Mark would be like, oh no, because he gets that about, but I thought they were really good. That's my
Well, if
Mark
they're not up for a
impression.
Doscar, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, yeah. So Mel is sort of captured straight away, isn't she? So the Doctor and Mel are quite separated for a lot of the story. So Mel is captured. Well, she's not captured. She's taken out by Icona. Yes, and this is where she's dragged along in her white trousers for a long time. In terms of the acting. This is again the criticism around this time because we had a little bit. She was great in some of Trial of a Time Lord. I think she's still very theatrical though. It depends what scene it's, but when she's been captured there, I think she's very theatrical. When she first meets a Tetrap, it's very over the top. I mean, she screams a lot in this as well. That's again more of the criticism here. This is where sort of the reputation, I think, of Mel being a bit of a weaker companion at this time comes in.
But it's so funny you say that because actually, I don't think of her as a weak companion. It's an actually, I think she's quite strong and she's very smart and interested. The trouble is, you don't. Well, one, you need them to be separate so she can meet him again, so you can have that moment of, but you've changed, because it's not like she's not seen it. We've not had that address of like, oh, you're different. So you need to separate them to have that, oh, you're the Doctor now sort of thing. You need that. And we need to see that as an audience. We need to see our companion have that moment. Otherwise, it's just, well, what we had before, which was we've gone into the future and we don't even see them meet. We've never seen Mel properly meet the Doctor so you need that. Like, I know I think she's girly, but I don't think of her as like Susan, for example.
I'd say she's independent.
Yes, absolutely. She's very comfortable being by herself and doing things and getting involved.
And knowing, of course, okay, we need to get to the Doctor. We need to, not because he's going to save us, but because just he knows what we can do. He's going to have the information that we need and we can solve the problem.
She's no Victoria. Victoria was a wet blanket.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but I don't know. But when the Tetrap's there, she is screaming. I don't know. I think it's more the acting than the character.
This was my introduction to Mel as well, because I hadn't seen any of Trial of the Time Lord when I saw this one, because this was I didn't see those reruns. And for me, it was like, oh God, this redhead just won't stop screaming, when she's in the bubble trap. All right, we get it. We get it. You're trapped. Yes. Okay. We get it. Shut up. I'm here. Shut up. It did get incessant, and it did get, and especially when it carries over into those cliffhangers. She's screaming at the end of one, she's screaming at the end of another one, getting held by the Tetrap while the Doctor's gurning on his in the machine. And she's just screaming at the top of her lungs. It's like, why are you screaming? There's no threat to you right now. And your screaming's not going to achieve anything,
Yeah, when they jump out, okay, she'll scream. She's never seen a Tetrap before. Fine.
That's fine.
Second time,
I would scream as well.
Second time, or is it the first time? Well, she does this very theatrical. She's like, ah. It's just very staged. That's the problem. And then
very panto.
Even then later on, there's a bit where I think Bayes is bringing her out of after she's been captured, and he's hugging her, and they're sort of setting her free. And Urak walks past, and she just lets out this big scream. That's not the right time for that. That should not. Do you know what I mean? She should be used to it by now. And also, he's not even doing anything. He's just walking past her. He doesn't need a big scream at that moment. I think that's
direction, isn't it? That's the director.
It's more the direction.
That's what I was going to say.
Any director
not
would
her
know
fault.
this isn't the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's not Mel as the character, because I think there are still a lot of, just in terms of the way she's written. Yeah, you don't need all of that.
Can we talk about the Doctor's outfit? Because for listeners at home, Mark is wearing a fetching sweatshirt, aren't you?
Yeah, my mum made this.
Sorry, one sec, someone's at my door.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, when I was like 10. It's not, yeah. That's why there's not as many
when you were 10 marks. And it still fits.
It fits now, yeah. It was a bit big then.
It's going to say.
So it's got less question marks on.
I'll be back, someone's at my door.
It's
I did see it. I was like, oh, it's very cute.
It does fit now.
It was made for you when it was 10. It fits well.
Because you can get the replicas now, but they're so expensive to get the actual proper bought one. So I will wear this.
Well
done.
Nice
one. Yeah. My Doctor Who party where I got my. Well, I'll show you now. My Dapol figures. There's my 7th Doctor. He's lost his arm. And my Mel as well.
They don't stand up anymore.
Very well played with. She's lost 2 arms. Well, you could get Mel in pink or in blue. This is Dapol's version of it. They're the ones that got quite a lot wrong. I think you could get a Tetrap as well. I think this must have been the time when
I can remember the Tetraps. Yeah,
it must have been the time when they started making these ones. So
what have I come back to? Sorry.
Oh, I'm just showing. These are my very well played with. He's lost his arm, and Mel's lost both of her arms. But
I'll be honest, I thought she was naked because of that pink top, and you had your hand over her trousers. I was like,
she's been carried in on the palanquin by the servants. She's lost her she's topless.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Well, we see the TARDIS wardrobe room. We love to see the TARDIS wardrobe room.
Yeah, but it's not the most dramatic. Okay, right. It's slightly bigger than the last one, because the last one was literally a closet full of clothes. This had it was all black walls, wasn't it? To make it appear bigger. But it didn't feel actually I don't know. It's been a
Like
while
a
since we've seen
space.
a big, expansive wardrobe room.
Well, we haven't really at all. I think this is the biggest. When did we see? Oh,
No,
We've seen
we've seen it in the past when some of the companions got changed in there, like really past.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Maybe in the 60s. Did we see it in the 60s? No, we didn't. I don't think we've seen it much. But this, I mean, by this point though, it's the Doctor's always got to go through the previous outfits, and it's a bit tired. I mean, the Fifth Doctor did that. Sixth Doctor. I mean, you just think, oh, come on now. That's just a bit done already, isn't it? But it's just a thing now. It's just what happens.
Every new Doctor has to at least try on an overlong scarf for some reason. You know?
Am I a scarf doctor? No, I'm not.
So, what do you think of the outfit then?
Well, I like it. I was trying to work out if there were elements that we've had previously. I think the idea of like a sweater vest we had with Peter Davidson's Doctor, because he used to have the cricket.
Where is cricket? Yeah, but
Is
it's the
that
question
similar?
marks again. It's the question marks.
So I feel like it sort of had a familiarity. Like, for me, this Doctor and this sort of start, it's got new things, but there's like a comfort. That is the biggest thing I take away. It feels fresh and new. You've got those really cool opening titles, but they've sort of gone, oh yeah, forget that Doctor ever happened before. This is what we know the Doctor to be. And it feels really similar, his outfit. The colours are quite light as well. Very much like Peter Davidson's Doctor was. Like, so it feels like they've almost gone to sort of a comfort of light and fun. And look, he's obviously the Doctor, but I do like it. I do like the jumper.
I liked by episode 3, he was the Doctor. He knew who he was. He was in his new outfit. It like he had been there for a long time, which I didn't remember that happening. Because, like, go back to again, like Twin Dilemma, it was just the Doctor just being really annoying for all 4 episodes, and even by the end of it, you're not too happy. And Castrovalva, he was in a box the whole time.
He was unconscious the whole time. Yeah.
What an absolute waste of time that was.
Yeah. So I'm glad we didn't have a lot of that. He's the Doctor by halfway through the story, and you feel comfortable with him, and he is the Doctor, and
His problem solving. Yeah.
Yeah, which is what he should be. We don't want a load of time like him sorting himself out, and also I think as an audience, we don't really know Mel. You can kind of get away with that if you've had the companion around for a while. But this is like a third story. We still don't really know her. So you need to get into it. You need him to settle, you need him to go, this is who I am, and here we go.
But you're following Mel quite a lot at the beginning because she's the longest sort of cast member by the beginning.
Only carry over.
She's the only one, isn't she? I mean, but I did like
Well, that
all
and
of
the
those
Rani.
things. Oh yeah, again.
Well, and yeah, she's been in 2, and Mel's only been. This is the Rani's second, and Mel's third.
So it's a
Although
lot
if
of
we're
change.
talking like absolute like episodes. Oh no, wait, no, because she only did one story, didn't she? The Rani. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
I think there might be a little bit too much running around in the quarry a bit, and the way that the Recursions run with their arms out.
Naruto, what is it called? Naruto running.
Oh, is it?
Do you want if anyone watches Bob's Burgers, Tina does a run where she runs with her arms behind her.
Naruto run, yeah.
And he ran like that, and I was like, that's the Tina run. That's how Tina runs.
My friend Luke at school ran like that. He ran home at the end of every day like that. He said it was more aerodynamic to get home quicker, and he would he would run, but because he lived really near the school, so no one came to sort of pick him up. He just walked home on his own. And on a Wednesday, my gran used to pick me up from school. She used to visit every Wednesday. And then sort of Luke would sort of be around, and what other kids would sort of follow us around, and she'd always be like, oh, is he coming with us this way? And he'd be like running with his arms out. But yeah, he always ran like that.
In the Olympics, because they don't run like that at the Olympics.
Yeah. But is that I didn't realise that was an actual...
It's named after an anime character.
Oh, right.
And he always ran with his arms like this, and it became like a thing. If you see someone running like it's the Naruto run.
Wow.
Interesting.
I suppose they're trying to make a bit...
How am I the eldest one here educating you on the bloody memes
I
and
have watched
culture
Naruto, but I haven't noticed his run before.
And I think they sort of forget a little bit sometimes. It's more, what's his name again? The one with Mel.
Icona.
Icona does that right at the beginning.
Can I just? I'll state the obvious. He's that's not too bad on the eye, I reckon.
I was just going to say, I remember them as the woman, the male one, and the older male one, and that's it. Don't ask me any names.
Baeus, Icona, and what was the woman?
Baeus,
and the woman.
Icona, and they're the only two. But actually,
this is my favourite story.
But Icona, actually, I was going to wait to the bit at the end when Icona and Mel are saying goodbye. I mean, that's I think there's a thing going on there. Like Barbara and Ganatus, it's the new Barbara and Ganatus. It's Icona and Mel, I think.
Well, he did say, "I wish I was coming with you," and it's just like, you've just fought so hard to free your planet, and you want to come with us now? I mean,
And then what does Mel say? Oh, if it's any worth, so do I, or something.
She says something like, "You'll fight it,"
and they
or
do
something.
the handy. They do that.
I reckon, like, off camera, so as characters, like, when we're not seeing them, they were like, getting it on.
In the concrete tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. But bit of tension in the concrete tunnel, we're gonna die. And like, yeah, do you know what? Cheeky little snog, innit?
I mean, they're out in that quarry for a while. I mean, is this takeover? Is this like a day? Is this just a morning? All of this stuff happens.
But when you think you're going to die, when you think like death is on your door, your civilization will end. Things happen, and things probably happened in that quarry that like we don't know. It was for children. This show, they weren't going to show that side. That would be Doctor Who After Dark.
Well, there were fireworks. They had fireworks in the cave.
We saw the flames of passion running throughout the... I'd love a Doctor Who After Dark. I'm just going to put that out.
Okay. What, of Time in the Rani?
Well, no, but some of these stories... I mean, who was it with the nose? Like, this is going back...
Oh, what's her name? Wheel in Space.
Yeah.
Tanya and... What's his name? I always forget his name. Tanya and...
I can't
the one
remember.
that's not Errol Flynn's son. The Wheel in Space couple.
Imagine that if it was like Doctor Who After Dark, and it's like, them having their tea together, and then there's some sort of weird bickering. It'd be like some, I don't know, terrible late night soap drama. I can imagine that with these side characters. There'd be some After Dark.
Well, there is Torchwood, but
exactly.
But if Mel stayed with Icona, all they've got to go is to that. What is it? Not the Pleasure Dome, the Leisure Dome. I mean, it doesn't look particularly fun.
No, why they're like, and this is why
the thing of leisure, the Chamber of Leisure.
Chamber of Leisure or Pleasure or a Chamber of Pleasure. Yeah, you'll take it to the Chamber of Pleasure. But there's not much. There's like a little pool. There's these little sort of. Did you notice these little pods
hammocks
with these sort of swings? And there's like this lady on a swing, sort of being fed something. But
I've seen this somewhere in my history, in my
it doesn't look
in my LGBTQI explorations of life. I've seen kind of secluded rooms with swings. And,
It really was a pleasure. After Dark, Doctor Who, that would have been a whole other show.
But then he's like, "Oh, has anyone seen, the whoever?" And then everyone's like, "Oh no, I'm going to stay on my swing and not talk to you." And it's all, I don't know.
That'd be me.
I think
I'd
that's
be like,
set.
"I'm good on my swing, thanks." Whee!
Well, they just sort of
watch out for the bees.
Yeah.
I queued for an hour to get on this swing. All right, I'm not giving it up just yet. Look at all these people waiting to swing.
But we don't. That's all we see of their world is just this little room and this massive big disco ball bee thing, which they're like, "Oh yeah, that just appeared one day. I think the Rani put it there. We don't know what it's. We're just going to ignore it until all the deadly bees come out of it."
I think that's one of the weaker elements of this story. Is like everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, the Rani came. They said that, and we just accept it." And like, and that guy really accepts it, so we have to do what he says. And then there's like one or two people that are like, "Oh, maybe not." And like, "Oh no, you can't say that." And everyone's just maybe they're just a very sort of, I don't know, or maybe they'd had a really tough time. They were a bit exhausted, and the Rani came. They've had COVID or whatever. They've had enough of it, and Rani just comes and goes, "You what? Here's what you're doing."
Yeah.
Like, do you know what? I'm so post-COVID fatigued after the last few years. I just want to sit on my swing in my leisure pleasure dome, and get on with it. We'll listen to you for a bit.
You do your bat thing, and we'll sit over here.
Yeah. You think you've got it? Yeah, fine. That's cool. We won't challenge you.
Like, in the terms of the story, though, did you find it quite easy to follow? And in terms of, like, what was going on? Like, the Rani had brought the Tetraps with her,
Yes.
built this base, put the Tetraps in the basement, and taken over the Pleasure Dome. And we don't see any, like, Lacurshan's houses or anything. I just want to see a Lacurshan's house, that's all, just to see what it's like. I just want to see a bit more, like a house in the quarry.
I followed the story, but if I have to go really into all the sciencey bits, I'm not following it.
All this strange matter stuff, I got a bit lost.
Yeah, but like I understood that like she's using the Doctor because she's trying to fix something that she doesn't understand and she knows he knows. And then she's also gathered all these great minds to make one central brain, which looked like paper. There were two weird things that I know. There's the brain, which I'll talk about properly, but there was one shot. I think it's before, the Doctor, before he walked and hit that string, and they went, no. And the ground did a weird movement. Did anyone else notice this? They're in the quarry. Maybe this is just on iPlayer.
Oh, before he was going to step on a trap and he stopped to...
Yeah, and it looked like it was like foam or something. It moved, not like ground.
It was mud.
Yeah, it moved in a weird way. And I was like...
Why would you know? I've never noticed something like that.
It moved not...
Yeah. It's mud, but you can tell it's kind of... They've got like a foam underneath that they've covered with dirt to put the string across. So they've got some... Because it kind of doesn't move like mud when he puts his foot there. Yeah.
So there was that. And then the brain, because the brain sort of pulsated... I couldn't work out what it was made of. It felt almost like paper, like moving paper.
It was like pleather.
Yeah. It's sort of like it sort of had a weird movement to it.
Because it had the veins on the outside, kind of doing the thing, which I always thought was, oh, what the hell's that? That's great. I love it. It's weird. Yeah.
I think I wanted some jelly on it to make it look a bit slimy. It looks a bit dry. It looks a bit of a dry brain.
Didn't look brain enough. Yeah.
Someone's got that.
I hate dry brain. Yeah.
Someone still has that. I think someone's got it in their garage.
What, that brain?
I heard.
Wow.
It was up for auction, and there was somebody that was trying to get hold of it, and this person that has it won't give it up and is just keeping it in their garage, apparently.
I'd be that guy.
Yeah.
I'd be that guy.
It's actually Lucas.
That's my Rani.
Do you have it?
Hey, neighbour's guy has his VCR. I've got my bloody my dry brain in my garage.
Exactly.
Just some lanolin or something on the outside.
Some Vaseline on us. I don't know. Something. It just needed a bit of a shine. Poor thing. Because I think that's where I noticed that. I was like, oh, doesn't look healthy. Doesn't look like a healthy brain.
I got lost in all this bit about the Rani doing something with the planet and it turning into like a time. Something. That's where I got lost. I'm up to the brain, I'm fine. And then past the brain, that's where I didn't really understand. But you don't really need to, I suppose. But
you don't really need to. Basically, she was going to create a device that let her travel anywhere in time and actually change time itself.
Because there was also a part of me that was like, but you already can travel through time because you have your own TARDIS.
But she can't manipulate time on a big scale.
I see.
And as a biochemist, she wanted to go and change the course of evolution in some areas. And that's why she said, oh, I'm going to go back to the Cretaceous age because the dinosaurs were wasted. I'm going to go back and save them and create a better thing. And that's the thing. She brought the Tetraps with her. So in my own, it's not actually stated, and I think it might be in the novelization or whatever, but I never really knew. In my own head canon, I reckon the Tetraps, they were just like animal bats on some planet, and she's uplifted them. She's changed them and made them smart, and which is why they're so beholden to her. Oh, you're the mistress, you're awesome. But they're also still pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Which is probably why oh yeah, I'll go chase after that guy. I could see a guy going into the base behind me, but I'm chasing this guy now. So not exactly bright, but that was the kind of thing, like the Rani does that. She takes life and she takes biology and she distorts it and creates her own stuff. So that was the ultimate goal of this. She was going to create a device that let her go through anywhere in time and change biology and change evolution, the way she saw fit.
And again, his moment of like realizing what she's doing, the Doctor now, He's not like silly with it. He's serious with it. I liked the sort of slip ups of words. That was the sort of silly that I liked. But overall, I thought like makes it clear. So even if I don't understand what she's saying, I know it's bad. She's doing something bad. And okay, we need to not have that happen. And we know at some point that like if this happens, their world is going to be destroyed. That's made clear. So even if I didn't understand the science or follow it properly, I could understand enough markers to be like, oh, this is a bad thing. Oh, this will happen now. Okay. To follow a story.
It was broadcast enough to the audience to say, oh, yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Which sometimes for me is all I need. I just need like, I can't, if I watched it again, I might understand more. But when I'm watching it, this is the first time I'm seeing it, I just need the overview of the story enough to go, okay, and that is that. But it hits its points that I need in order to follow the story.
The mixing of the metaphors got a bit much for me after a while. I think those are just a few too many in there. I just didn't really, I didn't find it amusing. I just found it annoying by the end.
That's because that felt like a nice little throwback to me when it happened towards the end. And I was like, oh yeah, he's been doing it. It felt like a nice, we remember that from when his brain was still figuring things out.
And he plays the spoons as well. A little bit. He's known for playing the spoons, isn't he? Sylvester McCoy is.
So I do wonder about this. You know, when they're like, they bring in these actors and they're like, so, and what's your party trick? Because if each had something a bit, like, what's your, and I can play the recorder. Oh, okay. Oh, well, and he's like, oh, well, I play the spoons. Like, oh, yeah, he plays the spoons. That'll be an interesting.
Well, the story goes that they were filming out in the quarry, but they went to the pub or something, and he just did it in the pub for the cast and crew. And the director goes, "Oh, that's fun. You should put that. We should do that in one of the scenes or something." And he does it, and they brought it through. But the J&T, the producers, like, yeah, let's not make it. Let's try and bring back on the comedy a little bit. We don't want him too comedic. And I think they found a balance eventually.
But this is always the case. I think they generally, bar the last one, they introduce these doctors as like big over-the-top characters. They're fun because there's an audience. You want them to like them straight away. And then they sort of settle into who that character is.
They refine it a bit, get the edges, rub the edges down a bit, and
But that first one is always a little bit high energy. It's always been that.
Strangle your companion. Yeah,
exactly. Go to all these extremes, but it's always that, and then they bring it in. It settles into what it is. You think I'm going back to Pastor Trust again now, but like you go, he was playing the recorder all the time, or the flip, whatever it was, and like he's doing all that. And that's sort of, and he's always wearing silly outfits. And then it's sort of mellowed out. It was sort of like, no, this is who he is. But it always starts that way.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Mel accepts regeneration very easily. She says, oh, I know about it, of course.
Yeah.
And then just, that's a really quick way of just getting on with it.
A double pulse. Then you really are the Doctor.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. No years.
I know about regeneration, of course.
So, but she's a computer programmer. She knows her stuff. She did that thing with the wire on that tag.
How does a computer program? Okay, so you can program a computer. It doesn't mean you can do electrical engineering.
Well, I mean,
they're completely different things.
You're saying computer programmer. I felt that line where she was like, "Oh, I understand regeneration," was completely not needed.
Well, otherwise she's like, I don't believe you're the Doctor, and then you go through this whole thing because she wasn't present.
But
is she the first one that's
the end
not
of
present?
It all? She's like, he's already checked her pulse, and it's like, and then she goes, "Well, I understand regeneration anyway." And then she goes into but you're so different. Like, I always felt that line wasn't needed. It would have been enough to be like, "Oh my God, but you are so different. Like, your hair's different, but you're the same person." I don't know why we needed to add. I understand regeneration.
Because she doesn't. Well, she needs to know that it's a possible thing.
Well, she can see it's a possible thing. It's just happened.
But if she's going along with Colin Baker and he doesn't mention regeneration at all, and then he just then Sylvester McCoy walks in, she's going to be like, well, where's the doctor? She needs to know
But she
that
did
it's the
all
concept.
that. He explains he is the doctor. That is enough, surely, to explain regeneration.
Yeah, but she'd be just like, well, yeah, but the Rani's dressing up left, right, and centre as all
that's
sorts
true.
of people.
I
Like, it
don't
could be
know.
anyone, couldn't it? Like,
But we
she
have
needs
not
to know.
talked about the Rani
don't, yeah.
dressing up, and I have
Yeah,
to.
okay,
Because
okay.
I have to, because the second she turned around, I couldn't stop laughing. And this
Like
is going
you're-
to sound horrible, but it was almost like a drag Rani. A drag Mel, wasn't it? Like, because you said the Rani's makeup, which is so dramatic. It was like a drag Mel. I was like, I couldn't get over it. And that is not a
And she
diss
puts
on...
on the squeaky voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the way she
everything about
walks.
it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny.
Of all the plans.
So good. So good.
Why did she, like, she could have just said, I'm Mel, I've been with you. Like, it's that whole, but the same makeup. So we know it's the Rani. Like, we have to know it's the
Yeah.
Rani.
She does a good job. She does a
She
good
does
job
a
of it.
really good job. She gets the little mannerisms down.
But I love when she's doing it, the little asides, almost like to herself, but for the audience's benefit of like, oh, you cretin, and you, it's just like, oh, okay. And she's like one little one-liner, oh yeah. I'm just like, I love it. Love the fact that she was impersonating this, she was embodying this character while being this other character at the same time.
It's when she turned around, she's got that smile, and she's like, "I'm Mel," and I literally could not stop. I was crying with laughter. It was so ridiculously over the top. It was funny. It was the makeup for me. I was like, it's like some drag. I know it felt almost drag in that over the top impersonation. Brilliant move. That's panto as well. That's like the producer's panto background coming in. So funny.
Behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where we need an offside scene. So when the Doctor and Mel crash land, the Rani's like, right, this is my plan. What is she wearing? Get that outfit. Oh, I need a Mel wig. I need this. Get I need to see exactly.
Wardrobe. She's like, orange wig, check. Pink blouse, check. White trousers, not a problem. I did have a moment, actually. Sorry, I'm just going to jump back to Mel and the white trousers. So when she's running in that quarry, she's not concerned that she's wearing white trousers. And previous companions have sometimes been a little bit conscious of outfits, but she's not. She charges through that quarry. She's not afraid of the dirt. Like,
She's got good shoes.
Because she didn't have a continuity person off on the side. Like, no, don't get dirt on that, because then we'll have to have dirt on that for this scene, this scene, this scene, and this scene.
well, because the Rani's on half the time, so they're not worried about continuity at all, really, are they? Like, just dressing the Rani's things.
There's a lot of hanging around in this as well, hanging upside down. Poor Mel gets hung upside down, doesn't she, for a bit with the Tetraps. I like the way they tried to achieve that. It does look quite good with their lair and everything. The thing I don't get with their
Blue screen.
with the there's that sort of tube thing. They're being like fed blood or something down that tube thing, right? So they're sort of like in a cage to sort of keep the Tetraps down there. But in order to feed them through the tube thing, you've got to open up, go in with them, pull that chain. And, like, there's a tube to go in to feed them, so you don't have to go into their cage thing. That's the whole point, isn't
Reach
it?
through the grill and pull the chain.
Yeah, it's like you have to go in. Like, that's like, feeding the tiger at the zoo. It's like, to feed them, you've got to go in with the tigers and get them, and, give them their, Yeah, it's a cool set and it's very well lit. I always complain about the lighting sometimes, but there's atmosphere there. Yeah, at first I was a bit confused about what is this like goo going down in the tube. It's like what's going on there? It doesn't really explain it.
It's the same goo, and conveniently, it's the same goo that they use. That's the material she's been looking for the whole time to put into the rocket to blow it.
Yeah, that's what I got confused with.
Conveniently, the same stuff, or looking the same stuff, not the same stuff, but it looks exactly the same. Yeah,
yeah. I think that confused me as well, because you see it all sort of dripping down. There's like a nice little tray going up on a little sort of model thing.
One, I was like, they could have added some of that to that brain to make it look a bit less dry. But two, what was it? Like, I was like, is this jelly? Because it's sort of like, it was quite thick.
What, the Tetraps food or the stuff for the planet? It's supposed to be blood.
The Tetraps food.
I think it's blood. I think because
Is it?
Is it blood?
Real
I thought it was
blood,
just like
it's
protein
quite
goo.
Oh, protein. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Protein goo.
protein goo.
I not that it's said anywhere, but
I thought it was like
or if it's
bats,
blood
like
or
sort
whatever,
of. They was
but
doing the sort of vampire batty thing.
I don't know. It kind of reminds
could have
me
been
of like
mashed.
a
It could have been
strawberry jelly.
mashed bloody plum for all we know. It could be fruit bats or
Oh,
something.
it could be. Yeah, it could be. Well, Mel got a taste from a teachap, didn't she? From a, the tongue came out
She
and
got a bit of love bite.
she got
a
a,
little
she got
love
kissed
bite.
by the. That was a good moment.
Doctor Who
again,
After Dark, that would be a whole other scene, I'm just saying.
Tetraps after tea. Yeah.
And with that really ridiculous, over the top acting that she'd be doing, yeah, it'd be something else.
Yeah, the story starts to run out a little bit in part 3 to part 4, and then it picks up again with the thing. There's maybe just not enough story to sustain the whole 4 episodes.
Yeah. I think that's what I felt. It sort of had that little dip, and then it started. Maybe it was going into 3, and I thought, where are they going to go with this? We've got another 2. It almost felt like it was rounding up, and I was like, we've got another 2 episodes to go. Where are we going? And I did find it, but I didn't know where it was going into it. Normally, you feel like, oh, they've got this to do now. Like we get the cliffhangers, and you're like, well, this is what we need to solve next for this part of the story. I thought, where are we heading?
It was kind of okay. We've got the killer pixel monsters in the dome. So that's the threat that Bayos is. She can kill everyone if she lets the insects out. But she only let a couple out to kill a few people. Then suddenly we need the bangles. We need these new accessories, bangles around everyone's anklets, as another threat. And it's like, but you've already got the insects, so why do you need the bangles? So it's kind of like drawing it out. And I think that was that's the method that we need. We need the bangles to be the explosives that destroy the base at the end. So that's where that came from. But it kind of felt like double handling of the problem. And
I think I feel like they started writing this in a quite a clear idea of like, okay, so we're going to have the Rani in it, and this is going to be the general thing. And then about halfway through, they were like, oh, but how are we going to do that? And it was almost like, because I felt that myself watching, I was a bit like, well, where are we going? And it's almost like writing it. They were like, oh, we need to go here. How are we going to get here now? They fix it, but I think that's where that dip comes between like 2 and 3. I do agree with that.
And I love the wire to fix the bangle thing is one of those fibre optic lamps, which would have been like quite new at the time. You know, those.
I remember the aunt who gave me the 3
the 3 books
for my birthday had the fibre optic lamp that we turn on just watch, and it just turns slowly and all the lights would change colour. But yeah, she had one of them.
Yeah, I love those. I'm sure. I love fibre optic stuff. I used to have that all the time. I do. Like, I think I had like a sort of a wand, like a wand of it, and you'd flap it around. And it changed colour. Oh, if only I'd known I could have played Time and Rani.
And did you playground games? I'm gonna get this little
And
string
disarmed everyone's explosive anklets.
Yeah, no, I totally would have done that.
There's a market there now. I reckon if people, within the Doctor Who fandom, you could put your little string, your fibre optic string, something like
This whole story would be a good escape room. You've got the bubble traps, you've got to do your ankle things, you've got the bees coming out of the thing, you've got to go around and solve all those problems.
And you've got to, put Vaseline on the brain.
Yeah, you've got the brain thing, you've got Einstein in
the
the
keep it moisturised.
Yeah. You've got to do the code and get Einstein out of his little hole. You've got to do all of that. This is perfect for that.
Einstein's there like, no, we can't get him out. The time's running out.
But that's the thing when the Rani gets trapped in her own thing in the container, and you can tell she's just been banged. Let me out. And then at the end, like when she gets out, like she's been in there a while, it's still and you can see the look on her face. It's like, I'm just going to keep doing this until I get out. It's like the way she portrays that length of time in that 5 seconds is just awesome. Love her.
They get her in there pretty easily, though. She has time to get out.
Yeah.
She's pushed in very slowly.
The scarf, all he does is the point behind you, the scarf over her, and she's like,
yeah.
I've been caught. Oh.
That's the only...
Again, very panto.
That's Kate O'Mara. That's the only thing with her acting. It's the capturing acting. She hasn't got that. She's too slow.
It did make me laugh a little. Like, we see Einstein, and it's made clear that there are all these other geniuses, and it's never really mentioned who they are. And even when they're all, he's like, yep, go in that room. We only ever see Einstein. That constantly, I'll explain this later. It's like, other geniuses and Einstein. And we will just, we'll make clear that Einstein is here. And there's others too.
Pasteur was there as well.
Who's that?
Pasteur.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Louis Pasteur.
Oh, yeah, I've heard the name Louis Pasteur.
That's where pasteurization, your milk has to be pasteurized. He's the guy who came up with heating your milk to separate the fat so it doesn't become get filled with bacteria. So
I see. I didn't know that. Maybe he did the
Louis
Tetraps food. Maybe he was the one doing that for them.
Separate the proteins.
Spoiled the bat's milk. Oh, back to Caves of Androzani. Here we go.
I think
milk.
Yeah, I mean that's Pip and Jane Baker who wrote this one. So I feel like that's from their mind. They're these like maybe random geniuses that they might know. I don't know. If you put a list of geniuses together, would he be on the top of the list? I'm not sure.
Probably not.
No.
I think the whole point was that they were kind of masters in their own field. Like Einstein was a theoretical physicist. Pasteur was a chemist, and she needed like the doctor for someone with an understanding of how time actually works. Like she could have gotten the machine herself, but because she has an understanding of time as well, but she doesn't. I wouldn't want to get in the machine, so I'm not going to put myself in there. I'll get another Time Lord. Oh, the Doctor, he's the perfect one to put in there. So all of the geniuses, I think, were supposed to be specialists in their own kind of field.
Yeah.
Right. And when they're all in the TARDIS as well, I noticed when they're all walking through, they leave a lot of mud on the floor in the TARDIS. It's a really dirty floor in that TARDIS once they've all trampled through.
They've been in a quarry, Mark.
It's really bad. No way. But then the Rani gets... Well, she goes in a TARDIS. She has a cool TARDIS, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I like the TARDIS.
That's very good. And then she's strung up at the end. Captured very easily, probably.
It did make me laugh.
She wasn't expecting the Tetraps to be in there, that's why. So they sprung it on her. She thought they were all staying behind.
Yeah, she's like... Poor Urak. He's all right, I think. Don't you think?
Is he the chief bat?
He's the chief bat, yeah.
You said yourself that the Doctor could still cause trouble. Remain here and see that he doesn't.
And where is the Mistress going?
To my TARDIS. I want to monitor the experiment from there.
I would prefer to go with you.
No doubt. But you can't.
It's like it'd be like if I got this guy here and gave him a brain. Sorry, everyone. I'm showing them my dog Pickles, my little Jack Russell. It'd be like if I gave him a brain and said, "Okay, you're my chief guardsman now." It's like, "Oh yeah, I love you. I'm not that smart, but I'll do everything I can." Okay, no, you're going to stay here as I blow up the planet. He's like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm getting in your car with you." So it's that kind of same concept, I think.
My cat is thick as shit. Like. Really thick. Mark can attest. She's 3 and she only worked out just before she turned 3 she could jump on a kitchen counter. Cats can jump anywhere. My cat doesn't think she can. She's really thick.
Just figured it out.
She couldn't live outside. She has no brain power at all. And if she was given like that sort of thing, she'd be useless. She would just be like, "Weren't you feeding me yet? What are you doing? I can't do anything." Nothing would happen. It's like her little bat pet, and she's like, "Oh, these will be good." And then when it comes to it, they're just, "Oh, we're going to do this now."
They're too loyal.
No. But again, that was quite a fun ending. I liked the sort of like his face going like, It's like, "Oh, we just."
And when she goes to try and kick him, and he's like, "Oh, nah, you missed me."
Yeah. It was good.
I suppose the only other thing with the ending, Bayus gets blown up. He might be up for a hero award, maybe.
Well, it was sad, but oddly enough, and
I
maybe
don't really
this
know why he stayed behind.
No, I suppose you
No.
didn't need to.
no,
He didn't need to stay behind.
but I didn't. I cared, but I didn't care.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Did you or didn't you?
No, he's not like, oh wow, that was a really heroic moment. It
If
just
it
sort of
had been
happened.
the younger one, who we've seen more of, had more interactions with, I might have cared a little bit more. But generally, most of the time, he was quite like, it's only towards the end that he's a bit more like, oh yeah, actually, this is what we're doing. He's quite like against a lot of it, you know? So it was sad and like, oh, he'd finally come to terms. Oh, and now he's died. But there was another part of me that was like, oh, well, that guy's died.
Yes.
This is Doctor Who.
He's just sort of there to add it, make it a bit more dramatic with the explosion.
Yeah, he didn't, the death of his own daughter didn't motivate him enough.
No, exactly.
To take revenge.
There were no tears
Yeah.
from him. There was no tears with
Yeah.
no makeup streaks with him. The death of his own daughter.
Yeah. And he was actively, oh, I'm doing this to protect my people. So no, you've sabotaged it, but give me that thing back. And no, I won't help you do that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do, but I don't believe it wasn't sold on me. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. I think it helped that I spaced out the episodes a little bit. But
Yeah, I
it's
didn't have intention of doing that, but it's not how it worked out. I did enjoy it. Like I say, it's not the worst. It's probably not my best. I'd say it's a really good middle. And also, I wasn't expecting a new Doctor. So that was also a surprise. And I think that also changes things because what you're expecting isn't, things like that. I think there was a lot to take in and understand, and maybe that affected how I viewed it. What I did wonder about is, like, so you knew that, sorry, this is more for Lucas. You knew the series, there was going to be a new one. Did you know, did you see pictures of Sylvester McCoy? Or was it like you just were told, oh, there's going to be a new one, and then you suddenly come on and this...
I was just told there was a new one. I think I would have been about 10 or 11 at the time. So it wasn't as if I was actively following or getting any media or like that. And this is, to be fair, this is the end of the 80s. So it wasn't as if the internet was readily available. The only way we were getting info was through, the TV guide and that sort of stuff. Or if I was going to the newsagent and actively looking for Doctor Who magazine, or, science fiction magazines, which I wasn't because I think I was a bit too young to do that. It was okay. No, we've got new Doctor Who starting this week, and it's like, oh, this is new stuff. Okay, yeah. So no idea. So this was completely.
So for that would have just been
new
so like, whoa, and who's this person? And I think that's sort of the fun element of it. Whereas I think for me, and that's what I was intrigued. I wonder how much.
I mean, even to the point where I didn't even think I knew what regeneration was. I hadn't seen one before.
Yeah, we didn't see one this time
either. I didn't, I had to put it together that this was the same character. Because then after that, I went back and, started reading the books and getting into it a bit more that way and going to the library and getting the, the other target novelizations and that sort of stuff. And that was the thing with the missing episodes. That was the only way to understand the story of some of these things because we didn't have them.
Yeah, you had to read them. It's not like you could go on Wikipedia and read it. I think that, and that's it. That would have been such like a wow. Whereas for me, it opened up way more questions. Like, what's going on? Why is this not happening? And I knew, I don't know when it's happening, but like I've seen pictures of like. And it's not about Sylvester McCoy. So these things are coming. You don't know when, but even now it's like, oh, so this is the Doctor. We don't have this. Oh, okay. Well, what's all that sort of stuff? So, yeah, I'd say for me, it's a good middle. I always enjoy having a new Doctor. I always think it's nice, new, fresh energy time. But we'll see where the season goes as well. I think a lot can change.
Yes,
it's a very interesting season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think this story deserves to be a bit higher placed than it is. And I think people are enjoying the fun of it now, I think. Especially when this came out on Blu-ray, there was a lot of love for this and this season.
It's Doctor Who at its campiest, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's that level, especially this season, there's a lot of camp in this season.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you're going to like it.
Yeah. It's a lot more camp. Oh, not just this season, next season as well. The McCoy era, really. There's a little bit more camp, I think.
Do you think that's the 80s, though?
And they embrace it a bit more.
Do you think that's just the 80s of it?
Well, no, because we've had all the Fifth Doctor was the 80s, and that wasn't. It's a different style.
I look forward to seeing what your take on it is.
Yeah.
Me
wow.
too.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That is Time and the Rani, and we have been sitting here in the Leisure Dome here on our swings,
Moved again.
chatting.
although I think the time crystals are slightly out of alignment for me because I'm 10 hours in your future.
Oh, yeah. We better head off before the bees come out of their dome.
Yes.
Watch out! They kill!
That's just the worst line. But Lucas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's been great. It's been really good fun to chat through a new era of Doctor Who.
Indeed.
Yes.
And what's next, Mark?
Oh, I'll tell you what's next. So it's 4 episodes next.
Right.
It's called Paradise Towers.
Oh. Okay. Paradise Towers. It sounds like some sort of like weird American sitcom.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'm not a huge fan of it, so I'll see if I enjoy it this time round. I know. So I'm sorry to shock everybody. So we'll see. I might appreciate it. I'm gonna do it episode by episode and really try, but it's not one of my favourites, unfortunately. Well, in the meantime, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho, and you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. Yeah, let's head off and avoid the bubble traps. See you all next time.
Bye.
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 2 Watch Who.